Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live stream. So we see here we have There's Something on the Wing. Welcome. We Scott's Dog. Hi. I hope you're very well. Sorry, I'm a little bit late to the live stream tonight. I had some technical problems, and hopefully I've overcome those. And I hope it won't be coming back any more gremlins. So how are you all this evening? Of course, let me know if you can hear me. I hope you like the new image. Hi, Mark. I hope you're well. Hi, Killer. So this evening I'd like to talk about the coronavirus. Fantastic. Boris Johnson's shenanigans, and also Michael Gove, of course. Virus free. No, I'm afraid we're not going to be virus free tonight. That's Scottish guy. Hi. Hi, Peter. Hi, IT Cap. Okay. Good, you can hear me. So I hope everyone's well. So how is life with you guys? Hi, Matt. So just to give you some information about the coronavirus where I am. Hi, Owen. Owen, sorry. Romano, hi, buonasera, come stai? So I hope you're all well. So just to let you know something about the coronavirus where I am. So maybe Romano knows something about that. So here we had some outbreaks, and I've said before, some of you may know that I do business English courses. That's my job, apart from, ranting and raving about Brexit. And I had a number of courses lined up with a number of companies, and they cancelled just at the last minute because of this coronavirus, which is looking likely to be doing some pretty bad damage around the world. Not so much, virus-wise, but the way it's impacting businesses. Let me see some of the comments now. Just move my microphone a little bit. Gloomy, going to Paris for a few days tomorrow. Good luck, Peter. I was hoping to visit Ireland sometime soon, but I'm a bit worried about flights, whether there'll be cancellations or not. Can we combine coronavirus and arch Brexiteers? I don't know if you guys have read, I posted on Twitter, I don't know if you've read it on Twitter, about, I think it's something like 35% of Americans are avoiding Corona beer because they're afraid of getting the coronavirus. Oh my God. If the coronavirus does not leave UK by June, UK will leave coronavirus. Well said, Giorgio. No symptoms. Good. So what type of checks are taking place around, where you are in the UK? What type of checks are taking place to check people coming into the country if they have any signs of the virus? So you guys like the graphic? That's good. Schools are shut. Flights have been cancelled. Yes. Corona beer has to be a wind up, surely. It would be a good way to promote the product in a perhaps ironic way. Avoiding Corona beer is always a good idea. You're not a fan, Michael. Where are you from, Michael? Are you from the UK? Are you from Germany? Or because probably my favorite beer is Franziskaner. I think it's a German beer. Very nice. Hoping to visit my friends Toscana, but Fulano della Chiarina, Toscana. I don't know what the situation is now with flights into Italy. I know there are lots of checks taking place, but I don't know if there's anything cancelled. Hi, Jeffrey. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for the comment. I heard Scotland is the only part of the UK unaffected by the virus, but that will change, I think, James. Yeah, it's everywhere. So it's just a matter of time before Scotland gets affected, I think. Corona beer if you're not sick yet. A few schools have closed around Manchester for kids returning from skiing holidays. Yeah, so here in Italy we had Carnival, and normally the Carnival is a really big event here, and you know I live near Venice, and of course it's a huge event in Venice, and they cancelled the last 2 days, and a lot of the schools are still closed because of Carnival. So they've extended it also because of the virus, I think. But you know, those schools will reopen, I assume, on Monday, and that's going to be a big problem. Scotland has one virus already confirmed. Advocac. Thank you. Israel has cancelled flights into Venice. German beer is the best, then Mexican. 50,000 customs officers been taken on at 30,000 a year, 1.5 billion in wages alone. We're saving money hand over fist. I actually did a video on that. It'll be uploaded tomorrow. So the comments from Michael Gove, yeah, we're going to hire 50,000 people. Okay, 50,000. Myself, and Eyes, fantastic name. That's just 1.5 billion in wages. And then what about all the infrastructure? What's the cost related to that? You have to build offices, and then the software also related to doing these checks. You know, there isn't a system at the moment, so that will all have to be paid for as well. Perdonone. Okay. I was near Perdonone last week, near Belluno. Yes, and we have a president who is denying it. Val, nice to see you in the chat. Hello from County Cork. Hi, Graham. Is it right you can't drown a Cork man? Rah, rah. 1.5 billion, at least 50,000 fully employed people, and taxes go up too. Yeah, so the when is it? I think it's next month is when the budget is released. So the post-Brexit budget, so that'll be interesting to see. Of course, they were talking about we're not going to raise any taxes, but you know, they'll either decimate services and raise taxes, or just decimate services. But hi Becky, welcome to the stream. Is good Bojo has told us to wash our hands. We're lucky to have such decisive leadership. Yes. Buenas noches, Dan. Hi. Only just discovered your channel, and the other day searching for James O'Brien, but really appreciate your commentary. Thank you very much, Dan. He says that more of the CDC has put a gag order on them. No, Trump putting Mike Pence, who organized prayers. Like, I've nothing, you know, if somebody believes in praying or whatever, I don't have a problem with that, but you don't put someone like that in charge of, you know, disease control. Hi Anthony C, welcome to the stream. Project Fear or Project Reality, it's hard to distinguish between the two. I'm in Colorado, nobody is telling us what to do. And then, excuse me guys, no, I'm not infected, I promise. So make sure to put a mask over your speakers just in case. Thanks guys, yes, remember to like the stream, it helps the channel and it helps the stream. So like, yeah, in Colorado, no information for Val. So something I was thinking about is, you know, at least here in Europe, if you get sick, you can go to the hospital and you'll get treated and you don't have to worry about the cost. But imagine someone who is, you know, working in Walmart, doing minimum, you know, working minimum wage. If they take time off, they won't be able to pay the bills. So many people may be probably going to work for fear that they may lose their job, or fear just for the cost of actually going to the hospital and infecting others, or spreading the illness. Hi Nevin, ciao. Anthony C says, I've been shopping at 5 a.m. daily when the stores are not busy for groceries, and the butcher stated that they can't keep meat in stock anymore. People are stockpiling in California. $24. Wow. And see, this creates more problems. Then people realize, oh, we need to go early, and then more people will go early. But here where I live, I had to go to the supermarket. It was about 6 p.m., which is quite a busy time normally, and it was full. Nobody was afraid of anything. So using rubber gloves on this stream. Luby Lou, hi. Always give a like because you're very likable. Oh, thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. Ria Loban, welcome to the stream. Sorry if I mispronounce you guys' names. I'm terrible with pronunciation. No offense meant. There are 0-hour contracts in the UK. Can't really self-isolate. Yes, I don't know if I was talking about this on the stream or it was in a video. I get confused sometimes whether I'm writing stuff or saying stuff on Twitter or whatever. But it is an issue. Yeah, there are people who are working 0-hour contracts. If you have to work 3 jobs even. In the morning you're in a restaurant, in the afternoon maybe delivering things, and in the evening maybe driving a taxi or Uber or something. How many people are you going to be infecting? And you can't afford to isolate yourself. James O'Brien was talking about this also. Things are calming down here in Padova. No, never. I actually live in Treviso, so you should know. We're almost neighbors. Might be Trump's trade war actually prepared the US for the current situation. Isolationism is helping face such a problem. Healthcare is a choice. If you're rich, you choose it. If you're not, you die. So much fun. My doctor said tests cost $1,000, and that's why Bernie is so popular. Medicare for all. Good. Yeah, this could be a very good example of why Medicare for all should be something that Americans consider. Hi, Cotton Cat. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Ali van Boven. Welcome to the stream. I'm sorry the US can't handle itself, but at least they can shoot anyone who approaches. What are 0-hour contracts? I still can't grasp the concept. If one boss demands you at the same time, are you screwed? I was in Treviso yesterday. Oh, nice, Romano. So 0-hour contracts, maybe someone can give a better description. I'll attempt to do it, of course. So a 0-hour contract is where you don't have a fixed number of hours. So you could be called, come in today for 3 hours. Come in tomorrow for 8 hours. Come in the next day for 0 or 1 hour. Tomorrow, the day after, we don't need you. So there's no fixed number of hours, and people are pretty much called at the last minute. QA Library was on Twitter. He talked about I think it was him. Excuse me if I'm mistaken who it was, but they told me that there are people who own restaurants and they have 20 members of staff, and each of them are on 0-hour contracts where they can be called in at the last minute or told not to come in at the last minute. Very difficult to organize your life, and very difficult to be sure whether you can pay bills or not. Aurorian Pop, hi, welcome to the stream. Hi Hank, welcome to the stream. Bernie was popular before Corona was news. Yeah. So what do you guys, American guys, do you think Joe Biden will win the South Carolina primary tomorrow? How are things in the Netherlands also? Pence cannot learn. He knows because his God tells him what he wants his God to tell him. Yes. But it's crazy having Mike Pence responsible for, dealing with the coronavirus. Can you think of anyone worse than Mike Pence, apart from Trump himself? Zero contracts means no holiday pay as legal requirement. Boss pays in goodwill. Healthcare in the Netherlands is, in my opinion, good. What the F? I shouldn't find the image so funny. Was watching a Rush Limbaugh, right-wing shock jock. Yeah, I know that guy. Live stream the other night. He was declaring that coronavirus is an attack on God-fearing US folk. See, people like him, I don't know whether he really believes it or he knows that his listeners believe it, so he just spouts it, and then as soon as the stream or the recording is over, he has a laugh. That's the only way I can think of it. Like, really, are there really people who believe that? But he speaks for hours. He speaks for like 3 or 4 hours each day on a single topic, so he must believe it, but I don't know. It has to remember that the public health care in Britain originally became a thing because the well-off came to understand that they could be infected by by the diseases of the deprived. Very well said, Wee Scott's dog. So we don't want these sick people around us, cure them. Okay, we have to set up a new system. Yeah, whatever. I wish Joe Biden would retire and enjoy his life out of the political space. He looks worn down. A bit like Hillary. I would agree in the same sense. Hillary should stop interfering. Go and stay, like, relax on an island somewhere. What happened to the big beautiful deal America was giving the UK? They said back to the end of the queue, or back to the end of the line, as they say in America. Basically, they said, you need to sort yourself out with the EU first and then come to us, which makes it a bit difficult because Boris Johnson doesn't want to have a deal with the EU. Hopefully he'll be thrown out and the UK rejoin EU. There is a movement, of course. I think it's important to watch Keir Starmer at the moment. So Keir Starmer is looking likely to become the next leader of the Labour Party. And I think he'd be someone who would push for the UK to rejoin. But we'll see. Lacrimae Mundi, hello. Helder, hi, welcome. Maybe I didn't say hello before, sorry. Well, we're up to 99 viewers, fantastic. Keep hitting the like button, guys. It helps the stream. An attack of God, on God, fearing US folk. Talking of Rush Limbaugh, there was a story about a Californian businessman who declared to his staff, decided to pay his staff a minimum of $70,000, was outraged and called him a communist. The business thrived. Yes, because I know that the business was I remember that story. The business was quite particular, and it was a small business, I think. But he, if you're paying people a really good salary, they're going to stay, they're going to be happier, and they're going to be more willing to help out if necessary. If you pay people buttons, they're going to, look around and try to find something else. They're not going to be willing to stay around and give extra to improve the business. So if you know that you're, if you know where, consider smashing the like button. Yes, where is the like button? It should be somewhere on the screen. Do you think the Pope should set an example to stop the touching? He's now sick. If the Pope can be spared from the virus, what chance do the rest of us have? I didn't know he was sick. I didn't hear much about the Pope actually recently. The coronavirus is an EU hoax to sink our NHS. Europeans are devils who want us, the British NHS, to be destroyed, of course. Does Bloomberg remind you of any British politicians? He does, actually. Jacob Rees-Mogg. No, someone... who was the Chancellor under... No, was it John Major? The Chancellor under John Major, I think. He looked a bit like Michael Heseltine. A little bit. Not. It's not a fantastic comparison, but there is somebody who was. I think it's Heseltine was the Chancellor under John Major towards the end. But I don't like American politics. I always think they are not serving the people. No. I think it's not as bad. Sorry, it's not as bad in the UK and the EU, but in the US, the political parties function as a system. It's almost like a government within a party, where you have, it's like a business almost, where you have many people. Norman Lamont is the guy with the weird eyebrows, yes. But I think there was another chancellor, maybe not. He could have been the foreign minister. Anyway, but in the Democratic Party, Republican Party, there are people who have, particular jobs within that party who don't want that to change. And Bernie Sanders, for example, is someone who's willing and, deciding to destroy that. All these consultants and lobbyists who work within and outside the party for the party, all of that would be swept away if Bernie Sanders won. And that's one of the reasons they don't want him to win. The Tory government are using the coronavirus fear as a tool to control the public. Why Britain voted for disaster twice. Hi, David. I don't know if I said hello before. Ken Clark, well, not exactly like Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a bit thinner and taller than Ken Clark. Trump has an IQ of 78. None of the three Labour candidates inspire me. I think they're better options amongst deputies. Boxing Inquirer, welcome to the stream. So who would you recommend? Who would be, in your opinion, Boxing Inquirer a better candidate? So Lamont and Clark were Major's Chancellor. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of someone else. It was a tall guy, but I don't remember his name. Not sure. They cried socialism for Obama for years. It doesn't work as good anymore. Yes, I agree, Frank. Like when Obama was presented as, both in 2008 and in 2012, they ran on the message, he's a socialist. Get your government hands off my Medicare. And, it didn't work. And now the younger generation are actually more open to socialism. There's a chance that Bernie could win. But I'm afraid, and I don't like to be a downer here, but I'm afraid Bernie probably won't win, even if he wins the nomination. I think there are too many factors supporting Donald Trump. He has the incumbency support, this incumbency benefit or advantage, I should say. Many people go towards the end of the cycle. People are like, okay, well, let's just vote. Who's the president now? A lot of people don't actually know very much about politics, and they don't know. You see these videos where people are asked on the street ridiculously simple questions, and they're like, oh, I don't know. Who's the president at the moment? I don't know. I remember seeing these videos and I was shocked. So you could ask these people, who are you going to vote for? I don't know. Who's the president at the moment? Donald Trump. Oh, okay, I'll vote for him. This is the attitude of a lot of people. which is quite scary and shocking. I like Dawn Butler. Okay. I'm not very familiar with Dawn Butler. Not very familiar with any of the deputies. I'm not all that familiar with even the leaders, the ones who are running for the leadership. I just know of them. I know their faces, and I know some of their policies. But Lisa Nandy impressed me in the debates. She won't win because she certainly seems a very bright person. Okay. Not a big fan of Lisa Nandy because of her position on Brexit, but if she would be a good leader, I think, the Labour Party need to move on from Brexit. Pope Francis sick a day after supporting coronavirus sufferers. The Vatican has not specified the nature of the Pope's illness, but he's been seen coughing and blowing his nose during Ash Wednesday Mass. Ooh, that's not good. And also, he's not a young man. The coronavirus it doesn't really harm, healthy people, but it does do some pretty severe damage to children, newborns, for example, and toddlers, and elderly people, and people with a depressed immune system. Hit the cross and you'll see the like button. Yes. See, what I see is different to what you see. How long do you think till England comes back into the EU? I think it's going to be Simon. Thanks for the question. And remember, guys, if there's the super chat is working again. So if you want to hit me with a super chat, feel free. No obligations, of course. I think it's going to be at least after 2024, or at least after Boris Johnson is gone. But I could be wrong. It could actually happen sooner than that. But if I was to put money down, I would say probably after 2024, once the Conservatives have been replaced and the full damage of Brexit has been seen. A lot of people are going to probably say, wait a minute, maybe we should go back in. Because, the reason to join the European Union in the first place was because the economic situation was really bad, and the UK saw it in their best interest to join the EU. Obama was centre-right. Bernie is around the middle of the road left. European perspective, yes. Bernie Sanders is centre-left by European standards. Put a donation tool in your chat. I will, just a moment. Okay, if anyone wants to give any donations, you can click on that link. Let me see. But people are happy because he fulfills the promises, no matter how stupid they look. Yes, lovely woman, not. So you're not a fan of Lisa Nandy. France has vetoed any accession until the process is reformed. Glad I can work home office. I had a corona case in the neighboring city, and doctor who visited Italy a few days before. Oh, that's not good. Hell no. Trump fulfills promises. You mean the ones where he lies and the ones where he has forgotten again? Do you remember how many times had he said, we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it? That changed to, we're going to build a wall and someone's going to pay for it. And now there's no mention of the wall. But didn't part of the wall collapse? And then some people built a ladder and went over the wall. So, but it worked for some people. See, this is something I wish the media would ask these Trump supporters. What has he done that has improved your life? And I don't think they could give an answer. So France wants a 7-step accession process. I think France can ask for certain things, but I don't know if they'll be able to get them. It has to be agreed on by all of the members. Do watch Royal History's Greatest Fibs on iPlayer. Explains a lot regarding Brexit ideology madness. Do you have a PayPal donation tool? I do. Just a moment. Okay. Lisa Nandy thinks the Scots should be dealt with like Catalonia. I don't know if she said that explicitly, but she said that in Catalonia the Spanish government used violence, and she didn't really say that she supported that, or she was asked whether she supported it, but she didn't give a clear answer. Berkan says, Max, do you think it will be done? So, do you think it will be done, the coronavirus, until April? So, my computer is asking for an update. No, thank you. Will be done by April, because Trump says talks with China PM, or do not remember exactly, promised that he would be done by April. Do you think we won't be in any case in May? I think a lot of these viruses normally run their course in a couple of weeks. I think we should look towards China and see how they're dealing with the situation. If the numbers start to decline, and I think the numbers are starting to decline in China, but it's difficult to judge China because information coming out of China is quite restricted. So, but if we see numbers declining in China, then we can sort of work out that how much it would it will eventually run its course in the rest of the world. But I think something, and I'm not an expert obviously, but something like spring could help the spread of the virus, because as the temperatures increase, it could help the spread of the virus. But I'm not sure. But I think we should look towards China and see, once the numbers start to decline there, then they should follow suit in the rest of the world. Dump is a cancer which needs to be cut out. I'm American, so I can be nasty. Brenda, welcome to the stream, if I haven't said hello before. Remember, guys, the Spanish flu of 1918 was also a coronavirus 100 years ago. People were dropping like flies. Be careful. There are differences, of course, but I think the coronavirus is really affecting most the older generation, older people with depressed immune systems, and very young children. You need Thunderfoot's video on why it's declining. Excellent presentation. I'll check that out. Shut up forever. Lisa Nandy can bugger right off. Next topic. Scraggy Bear. Up to January, Trump was... Oh, sorry, I missed that. Hello back, Brenda. Up to January, Trump has lied or misleading claims 16,000 times, Washington Post. And it doesn't have any impact on his approval rating. You know, it's insane. How can his approval rating be increasing while his lies are increasing? It means that the public don't give a crap. But I think a good question to ask Trump supporters would be, what has he done that has improved your life? Because they can talk about, oh, he built a wall, or he hasn't built a wall, but he's helped the stock market, and he's helped billionaires, and he stopped the immigrants or whatever. Of course, lies or whatever. But how has he improved your life? The same way, you know, you ask Brexiteers, how has your life improved since Brexit? Sovereignty, 50 pence piece. We have our own laws. No, in your life, go away. Mighty Pie, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well, my dude. I am very well. I'm no longer infected. No, I'm lucky I haven't been infected. But I have been affected by it because my work has been affected by it. So the work I do off the internet, because a lot of companies that I work for have, blocked any type of flow of people in or out. A blue thinging, blue passports. Let's not forget, of course. A blue passport that could have been blue, like Croatia, and has less power, less value than the burgundy one of before. The numbers have fallen in China because of extreme measures, though. It wasn't a natural attenuation, so very important not to be complacent or to panic for that matter. Yeah, I saw some videos online of people being, rounded up at gunpoint in China. So I hope we don't have to go down that road. Go look at Spanish flu from 1918 to 20. It was H1N1. Stock markets are more important than people's health. Unfortunately, you're right, sarcastic Star Trek. We focus more on that than we do on the lives of people. And it has always been the case, unfortunately. Europe is stuck in a rut. In what sense? Less power perhaps, but it's blue. More queues, more blue. The Trump supporters I spoke to online believe that US scientists will have a vaccine next week. Yeah, right. And how much will it cost? If you get infected, how much will it cost to get this vaccine? A 2% mortality, that's 20 to 60 million dead. But just airports and trade, like, for fuck's sake. If it comes here, the Tories are buggered. It'll take out most of the voter base. It needs to get more competitive, so the EU needs to become... In what sense does the EU need to become more competitive, Captain? I don't understand. Competitive like the US, or competitive like China? 18 months till vaccine. Most people, it will have mutated somewhat since, in 18 months' time, I think. What about the money that they will make to cost? Do you think the coronavirus will make it even worse than the world crisis of 2008? It's certainly looking that way at the moment. The stock market in the US has declined a great deal. So I don't know if it depends on if it's going to be long term or not. The 2008 crisis was long term, but I don't think this is going to be long term. But as Wee Scott's dog said, you shouldn't be complacent. If there's no EU deal after the end of the year, what does that mean? A lot of food will get here in Ireland from the UK. I'm not sure what sort of problems there'll be regarding trade between the UK and Ireland. Sarah Jessica Farter, hi, welcome to the stream. If I haven't seen you before on the stream, so hello. Should there be an age limit on voting? If 17-year-olds aren't allowed to vote because they're too left-wing, then we should prevent all old duffers voting for being too right-wing. I think reduce the age to 16. 16-year-olds are a lot more mature than they used to be. But also, their lives are being affected in a much greater sense than someone who's in their 80s. And, why should someone in their 80s be allowed to vote and someone who's 16 not allowed to be, not given the vote? Boris is a part-time PM. Maybe Corbyn has come up with a workable plan, a bit by accident. I think just to respond to Captain, so the energy capture, I think they're working on some solutions at the moment. And then there's the cold fusion project in Switzerland, which is being funded by the European Union, I think. But I don't know much about that, obviously. Do you think we're near the end of the world? No joke, with the peace deal with Israel and biblical amounts of locust. No, I think we're a bit away from the end of the world yet. We always look at the situation we're in and said this must be the end of the world. Things can't get any worse than this. We've been saying that for a long time. Greta Thunberg brings Bristol to a halt. Roads are closed as thousands attend UK climate rally with activists after she arrives by train and gets a police escort in an electric car. Enough. Yes, a 16-year-old can become a parent, but they can't vote. Yeah, that's really weird, Becky. Yes, I agree 100%. You should be able to vote on your future. Hi, John O'Sullivan. Hi, hope all is well in Tipperary. The hurling is very good in Tipperary. I heard that Boris is not able to visit flood victims because he has a book deadline pending. He can't get out of the fridge. That's why he can't attend. Have you seen the Anti-Greta Globe twig? Yes, I have. And I posted something on Twitter about her where she allegedly has connections or support, not connections to white supremacists. And I was like, okay, surprise, surprise. This is something quite pathetic on the right where, the left, or even, it doesn't even have to be the left, but someone brings out, someone invents, how can I say, a hero or some type of figure. And the right always, okay, we have to invent our own one. And you can see how fake it is when it's invented. It's not something grassroots. It's not something organic. It's something concocted as a response. Anyway, Neil Powell, hi. Hope all is well in Cork. She's a paid-up right-wing shrill. Yes. The end of the world will not happen until something much larger than Cook's Club asteroid. Oh, I didn't know about that asteroid. Thanks for letting me know. Hurling is inferior to shinty. Hello, Greg. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Not all British people want wanted what we got, of course. We are the silent majority here, although I'm not British. It's outrageous that Cameron did not allow 16-year-olds to vote in the referendum. Yeah, that's quite... it was their future that they were voting for, and I think if 16-year-olds had been able to vote, the result would have been much different. But then you have to remember that Nigel Farage said, what was it? He said business, it'd be unfinished business. I heard that the coronavirus was spread out even more if it does not if we don't close football matches. Premier League, do you think that this situation will last until May? We're not at all silent. You're completely right, MJ. I don't see it lasting that long, out until May. I think it's another month probably, and it will be back to normal. Well, not back to normal, but it will die down a little. I work for an investment bank. I don't think people realize how bad Brexit is. Why would all foreign banks who have their headquarters in London stay here? And we've seen that, yeah, Greg. I've covered this on the channel before about how there are certain banks moving out, and there were something like 150 or 140 billion pounds worth of investments or not dividends, but stocks or investments that were transferred to Ireland last year. 140 billion pounds. Like, we can't even imagine that as a number. And that's lost revenue. Taxes that should be paid on that are taken away from the treasury. So somebody else is going to feel the loss of that. No world end, Bruce Willis will save us all. Yes. Die Hard 25. How many Die Hards have there been? There was Die Hard 1, which is the best, of course. Die Hard 2, which was okay. Die Hard 3 was in New York, I think, with Samuel Jackson. Then there was a Die Hard 4, I think. And then it was getting like Rocky or, Stallone. Or he's like in his 70s and he's still jumping out of buildings or whatever. Well, the Romans had another approach, 30 as a voting age. Barclays Bank has moved 166 billion worth of assets from the Barclays Bank worth of assets from the UK to Ireland. Wow. 166 billion. Like, I don't know how much taxes would have been paid on those. Maybe because it's in the city of London, they wouldn't probably pay them. But I imagine it's a lot of money lost. And then we have to look at where, okay, that money isn't available to the exchequer, so then the government have to cut services. Glasgow Kiss, welcome to the stream. I didn't see you join. It's a myth, no one dies hard. Guys, you are hilarious. It's hard to feel sorry for the Brexiteers, but we should certainly direct our discontent over the reality of Brexit towards the government instead of having a go at them. Yeah, because a lot of people are afraid. Here I've noticed on the channel that the number of Brexiteers commenting has declined a great deal. So either they're quiet or maybe people have changed their mind, or they were just trolling or whatever. But I think a lot of people are realizing, wait a minute, I didn't vote for this, or wait a minute, aren't things supposed to be getting better? And, people are ashamed to say I was wrong. So they will remain silent. And it's pointless. Phil from A Different Bias said, what's the point in beating on these people? The real target should be the government or the Brexiteers who are MPs or who have a loud voice, like on LBC or whatever. Those should be the target of your ire. At some point, it was reported that City moved 100 billion. 1,000 billion. Was that a trillion? Should be more now. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. who is having a go at Brexiteers? They have still having a go at us. If the pound, if I had a pound every insult was coming from a Brexiteer, I'd be a millionaire. I agree, Scraggy Bear. Yeah, it's like Ramoners, but I understand we have to vent. It's natural for us to vent, but I think it's always important to remember who sold them the snake oil. Why does Natural Garbage have a talk show? Because he gets ratings, but now I think he has sort of disappeared off the radar somewhat. He wanted to be Mr. Brexit, and now Brexit is so-called done. So hold on, I'm a Brexiteer. We don't bother anymore because you're not a threat. It's as simple as that. But Remainer, how are Remainers ever a threat to Brexit? Boris Johnson had his majority. Jeremy Corbyn was a Brexiteer as well. So in both the head of both parties, you had a Brexiteer. So I don't know how people thought that Brexit was going to be stopped in some way. The only way it would have been really stopped is if you had been put back as a referendum. That was not something government were going to do. He's like Ben Shapiro. Oh. I think Ben Shapiro needs to come out of the closet. If you know Ben Shapiro, you probably know what I'm talking about. I'm a Brexiteer. I want the conversation to change direction. Captain, tell me how has... Look, I'm not going to put you on the spot because you're probably the only one here, and I don't mean to do this, but I'd like to know how was your life, or how would your life improve because of Brexit? Like, I understand you say you can. I've heard all the comments before about sovereignty and getting our money back and stuff like that. But how has your life improved, or how will your life improve? Do you think? Because at the end of the day, we vote for things under the idea that they'll improve our lives. So, and I'm not attacking you here. I'd really honestly like to know how you think your life will improve. If you want to answer, feel free. If you don't, I don't have a problem with that. Tara D, welcome to the stream. Good evening, great channel. Thank you very much. Is Get Brexit Done now withered down to, this is not the Brexit I voted for. Like the guy, was it Colin at the airport, had said that while he was queuing. He said, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the Brexit I voted for. Rather leave Ben Shapiro in the closet, close the door and put a cork in his mouth. Isn't he one of those who's funded by the Koch brothers? Although I think the Koch brothers have left us now. But one of their think tanks, one of their companies or whatever they were funding in order to promote their message. You're the ones who can't stop moaning. You lost. Don't you feel like a broken record? I didn't lose. So, Deanne, okay. I just feel that the people of Britain have lost. So, personally, I haven't lost anything because I'm not living in Britain. But I feel sad for people, the length of breadth of Britain, who have lost something. They used to be able to travel around Europe without any restrictions. Now they have restrictions. Now, if you say that's a victory, okay, but what do you put on the other side of the scale for those people? You can say sovereignty, you can say taking back laws, but how does that resonate with those people? Let's just think about it for a second. If someone said, okay, I now have a passport that has less value than the one I had three months ago. Okay, what are you giving this person in exchange for having a worse passport? There must be something. And saying, well, sovereignty, or they have their laws back, or they have control of their money, that individual, how does that individual benefit? The most annoying talking point, Brexit talking point. Oh, there's so many. What about taking back control? But for me, the worst is the money one. We will control our own money. It's like, who is that for? Like, if you're a Brexiteer and you know anything, you know that you're not part of the Eurozone. You don't have the euro. So how is your money being controlled by the European Union? Europe needs to rethink its direction. Brexit is a shake-up we all need. But how can you say Europe needs to change, but you leave? Like, if you say, I can agree with you, Europe needs to change. It needs a new direction. I can agree with that. But how do you change that direction if you're on the outside? It's like, I hate to use this example, but it's a bit like when I've used in the past about being a member of the tennis club. Okay, I'm a member of the tennis club. I don't like the way the tennis club is working. So instead of staying and trying to change the way the tennis club is working, I'll leave the tennis club and stand on the outside and complain that the tennis club isn't doing what I think it should be doing. That doesn't work. You have to, if you want to reform it, you have to stay within it. And the UK was not a peripheral country. The UK, the influence the UK had as a member of the European Union was completely different to countries like Luxembourg or countries like Ireland or countries like Austria. It was had a huge influence, but it decided not to have a huge influence. And I'll never understand that. It was, we can have a huge influence, but we decide not to. To satisfy who? So I've been ranting away and I've been missing the chat. Given the industrial scale of the gaslighting by the "we got a problem," yeah, that guy. The EU doesn't need to change, it's fine. I disagree, Sean. I think there could be more transparency, and it's not that there isn't. There should be more promotion of what the EU actually does. That's something I think the EU should talk about. Many people don't know what the EU does, and I include myself in that. I'm not an expert on the EU. I don't know how all of the different parts of it function, and I think more information would help. The EU attempts to do this. It has all of its information is freely available, but maybe it could do some advertising to explain what it does, inform people more. So I think, because if people are more informed about what it does, the positives and the negatives of it, they can have a better understanding and make better decisions. The complete opposite of what happened with Brexit. People had no understanding what the European Union did or represented, and decide, we want to leave anyway. I'm missing some of the chat here. Once we leave the EU, we will no longer have the European arrest warrant. Brexit has made the UK a desirable destination for criminals to hide in. Yes. So much to say about this. The idea, and also the idea that if the UK leaves the European arrest warrant, no longer has it, means that there will be people who will commit crimes in the UK, will leave, will run to the EU, and there'll be no agreement to return those people. So it's not just bad people will stay in the UK, but there'll also be bad people escaping the UK, and the UK will have a lot of trouble trying to get those people back in and punished. What about the lunacy of Whittaker's unconscious irony in referring to the EU as a totalitarian, colonizing, imperial, slave-owning baron and tyrant? You have to laugh at people like Anne Whittaker. High electronic frequency. Sorry, I keep saying frequency. Remainers say if only we stayed and reformed the EU. We tried, and the EU said, no, it's not that the UK tried. The UK didn't want to. You had successive governments blaming the EU for its own shortcomings, and then criticizing the EU at every possible turn, and then saying, oh, okay, we don't want to engage with the European Union anymore. Monolithic systems are like a huge ocean liner. That's why the EU has a problem. But again, if there's a problem, you don't abandon the ship. If you think the captain is going in the wrong direction, although the ocean liner is a bad example because you have one captain at the top. The EU would be more like you'd have a committee driving the ship, and each member of the committee represents a country. But you'd have a vote. You'd have a chance to put in your opinion. But what the Brexiteers are doing is, let's jump overboard because we don't like the direction the ship is going in. I'm sick of the political correctness. Calling Brexiteers idiots is treating like crime of the century. I have no reason to insult people. I have no, how can I say, bad blood towards people who are Brexiteers. But I have a problem with the idea of people voting for something that is against their own interests. So if you vote for something that's against your own interests, then I'm sorry, you have to be considered a fool. And I regard this in any context. It doesn't have to be regarded only. It's not just Brexit I'm talking about. Like in the US, people voting for Donald Trump. Like, some people voted for Donald Trump because they hoped he would change the system. He hasn't changed the system. So those people can take a step back and say, look, I tried, but Donald Trump, it was a mistake to vote for Donald Trump. Next time, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. And I commend those people. But there are people who will say, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump again, even though he lied to me, even though he pretended to be something that he's not. So if you continue to do that, then I have to call you a fool. I have to call you an idiot. I'm not saying that individual person, I have something personally against them. I have something personally against their opinions, against their decisions. The EU can't reform. It's proven over and over. But the EU is reforming all the time. Can you give me an example of how the EU is still the same as it was when it first formed? The EU is expanding. That's a form of reformation. The EU has allowed countries to leave, like the UK. That's a form of reformation. You're saying it can't be reformed, but can you point to some examples of how it hasn't been reformed? I don't call Brexiteers idiots, but I'm sick of being told how terrible it is. But I'm sorry, I didn't see Deanna's comment about moaning about. As I said, if you vote for something against your own interests, then you have to take the natural criticism that comes with that. The EU was for decades a convenient scapegoat when the UK needed to explain its own failures. A vote sent the scapegoat out the door. Now we realize that the goat did some good things. Yeah, and I showed that before, how money was being spent in areas that the UK government, and I'm not just focusing here on the UK, also here in Italy, there are projects that would never have been funded by the Italian government. They were funded by the European Union. Trump has changed the system, not just the right way. He installed a conservative Supreme Court, etc. Right-wingers are ecstatic. I give you that. One major investor has left the region. Always knew the EU did a lot of good stuff, but both here and elsewhere, it was our government that always messed stuff up. How do Italians feel about Trump being referred to as Mango Mussolini? I told my wife about that, calling him Mango Mussolini. She found it hilarious. Trump has a fan here in Italy. His name is Salvini. He even met with Trump. They had a photo taken together. It was disgusting. The EU is slow because every time there is a national election, the EU Council get a new member, with new ideas. You have wind and solar power, which would easily be managed in a large grid with local shortages, can be overcome by imports, like having the EU-wide electricity grid. That makes sense, Paul. Brenda says the Supreme Court should be apolitical, but sadly it's not. Yes, this idea of appointing presidents appointing Supreme Court justices, there must be another way, because and then the way it was blocked when Obama wanted to do it. Mango Mussolini. I call Donald Trump Agent Orange. I don't know if you saw the recent picture of his orange face. It's what does he be thinking? Do people actually say to him, his advisors say, look, go easy on the old orange, whatever it is he's spraying on his face. Captain Crayman, I apologize if I didn't see your comment before, but how would your life improve, or how has your life improved by leaving the European Union? Subprime, whoops. The UK needs to stop bashing the EU. You are out. Get over it. Now, what are you going to do? The back of the beer mat stuff isn't working. I reckon North Korea could be the only country not to get coronavirus. Can you imagine if they got coronavirus? Half the population would drop dead in a week. Can defoliate a tree at 20 paces. The stream is going very quickly now, the chat. Electrics have scored 3 on goals in the mad Hitler, Brexit, Trump. So if your life is fine, then why did you vote to leave? Like, if you didn't gain anything by leaving, then why would you take the risk? Like, I understand if your life is okay, then what did you vote for? Like, if your life is bad, you can say, and this is one of the reasons many people believed, if you're living in a council estate, and you say, look, everything is bad around me. There are no jobs. There's crime, whatever. And the media are telling you, if the media are telling you it's the reason for this is because of the EU, we're sending too much money to the EU, we need to spend more money here. I can understand if somebody, buys into that. I think it's ridiculous, but I can somewhat understand if someone is ill-informed, they would buy into the idea, okay, well, I might as well vote to leave. What do I have to lose? But if your life is fine, then what did you think you were going to gain by voting to leave? Do you think Farage would have made a great used car salesman? He's like Del Boy. The EU is as much in decline as the Tory party is a union of workers' rights activists. How much do you step out of your echo chamber? When was the last time you changed your opinion on something political? I assume that's directed at me. It was actually, I changed my opinion on, it was actually on this channel. I changed my opinion. Oh, just a moment. So I gained a lot. I never voted before Brexit. I got a chance to change the direction of Europe. What did you personally get? So unless you got nothing, so you voted to leave. So your life was fine. You voted to leave to change Europe. Is that correct? So you didn't think so you didn't think your life was going to get better, or you didn't think your life was going to get worse by voting to leave? I'm confused. Like, normally we vote for something. You don't vote for nothing. Do you think Brexit is the biggest con job in history? Probably one of the biggest. Like, I feel this is probably quite strange, but one of the people I feel really sorry for is the Queen, because she represents not just the UK today, not just Britain today, but she also represents a dynasty. She represents an empire. The empire is in decline, of course, but she represents a history of monarchs. And how did she feel when Boris Johnson or Theresa May had come in and said, okay, there's a chance that we're going to lose Northern Ireland to the Irish, and there's a chance that Brexit is going to force Scotland to ask for independence? What was her response to that? And whether you agree with Brexit or not, you have to accept that Brexit increased the chances of a united Ireland, of Northern Ireland leaving the the United Kingdom. You have to accept that, and you have to accept that Brexit pushed very strongly for the Scots to ask for independence. So I try to imagine what her thinking was at the time. And thank you, Boris Johnson. Thank you, Theresa May, for destroying my union. Something that we have built up for centuries, and you are going to get rid of it. For what? What are we getting in return? Well, Nigel Farage is going to get a few quid out of this, and the people who supported Vote Leave are going to make a killing, and Jacob Rees-Mogg has set up a business in Dublin. He's going to benefit from that. Unless they convince the Queen to get involved in the financial shenanigans, I don't know, but I don't think it's the case. She doesn't seem the type. Don't feel sorry for the Queen. She's an unelected bureaucrat. I mean it not as the Queen herself, but as a normal person. She is a person at the end of the day. How did she feel about something that was handed to her by her father? Something that was handed down over generations, the United Kingdom. And it was taken from her by people like Boris Johnson. Does Boris Johnson can do something about the transition period at the end if he doesn't get a deal? Yeah, well, he can ask for the transition period to be extended. If he was intelligent, that's what he would do. But I think he wants to crash out. Is what the shank needs. I feel sorry for her. She's an old lady who means no harm today. She's not allowed to have an opinion. Yes, I understand that there's the separation of I guess Soros and Goldman Sachs don't be making as much money as Max or I don't understand Soros and Goldman Sachs, but if Goldman Sachs and Soros were making money from remaining, well then obviously they're not making money because the UK is leaving, or has left, I should say. Remember when the monarchy was more powerful? It didn't work out well for most of the serfs. Yes, it's not about the value of the monarchy here. This is not my discussion. I just feel her as a person. You know, she must have feelings related to something that was handed to her. It's like if someone gave you a home, and then somebody else came in and told you, you should knock down a few walls and put a window there, and then you realize after that was a bad idea, and you can't return your house to its original condition. You have to live with it, with the broken, the wall knocked down or the window in the wrong place. The class system in the UK is a cancer. Toffs have commoners believing that it's in their interests at heart, of course. Look at Eton, Boris Johnson and the Etonians. He signed the withdrawal agreement and now wants to change the rules. The EU will not let him leave. This whole thing of so Boris Johnson signed the withdrawal agreement, for example, one aspect being the European Court of Justice. That was signed into the withdrawal agreement and the political declaration. And now Boris Johnson wants to go back on that. The idea that between Northern Ireland and GB, there is the border. And Boris Johnson wants to go back on that. But so he wants to rip that up. And he wants to have a trade deal with the United States, even though the United States has said, if you mess about with Northern Ireland, we're not going to give you a trade deal. So he wants to mess about with Northern Ireland in one aspect, and he wants to have a trade deal with the United States. What world is he living on? Even if we accept that he is lying, what is he lying about? Is he lying about having a trade deal with the US? Is he lying about tearing up the agreement with the European Union? Because if he does one or the other, he's in trouble. How long before a United Ireland? I'd say probably 4 years. 4 or 8 years. Within the next 10 years. I'm pretty sure it will happen somewhere in the next 10 years. Yeah, the Turkey joining the EU that was, of course, and maybe the Remainers should have been more adamant with their rejection of that. You're into something, Max. The reign of the QE2 started at the after World War II, the 60s, and the eventual breakup of the UK. Bashiro says he can't. It's international law. I don't think he's going to break international law, but he's saying he's going to break international law. So should we listen? So if Boris Johnson says, I'm going to break international law, should we believe him? As a Brexiteer, I hope we will stop mass immigration. Diana, did you read this week that immigration from non-EU countries has increased towards the UK? So, like, if reducing immigration was a part of leaving the European Union, like what is the next step to leave the world if you want to reduce non-EU immigration? Trump ripped up TPP and NAFTA, but invented US, Canada, Mexico treaty instead. Same thing, different name. But it's the bait and switch, you know. I'm going to do X and then just do. I'm not going to do X. I'm going to do Y, but just do X and pretend it's Y. Boris lies constantly, like study Trump, yes. Dump. Sorry, I almost said Trump. You should use Egypts who are suddenly not useful anymore. You are useful Egypts who are suddenly not useful anymore. Boris also said that he would break UK law, but didn't because he has no conviction. Yeah, so that during the extension, so he said, I'm not going to sign the document to request an extension from the 31st of October to the 1st of January, the 31st of January. But he did it. So he was telling, I'm not going to do it, and then he did it. So he was afraid to break. I think he's not going to break international law. He's going to throw Northern Ireland under a bus. And he's going to put the border down the Irish Sea. And I said this before, because the Tories and Boris Johnson don't give a crap about Northern Ireland. You know, it doesn't serve any. It doesn't serve any benefit to look after Northern Ireland. They'd prefer just to let it go to the Republic, let a United Ireland take place. They'd probably take a bit of flack for a bit, and then people will move on. You know, I think if you asked most people, if you polled most people in England, I'm not talking about Wales or Scotland, but in England, do you think the UK should try to hold on to Northern Ireland? I think most people would say, no, I don't care. So there's no, you're not losing votes, you're not losing support by letting Northern Ireland go. You are throwing the DUP under the bus, but there's no benefit to the Tories or to Boris Johnson by holding on to Northern Ireland. So he's not going to break international law. He wants to have a trade deal with the United States. So he needs to keep the EU on side. I think when the time comes, he'll attempt to have some sort of bare bones deal with the EU. And then he'll go to the Americans and say, look, see, I have a deal with the EU now. Will you please do a deal with me? Thank you, drink water. And your name is very good advice. I need to drink more water. Do you think Sanders wins in 2020 election? That would affect the UK hopes of a trade deal with the US, as Sanders has already said he would prefer a trade deal with the EU. It depends more on Congress, not so much on the president. The president, of course, has a huge amount of influence, but the ones who actually work out the trade deal, the details, are Congress. So, Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders could agree to have a trade deal. I think it depends on the approach. There's a thing about politicians. Donald Trump is in charge, everyone's kissing his ass, more or less, especially on the UK side. The day Donald Trump loses, he'll be forgotten about. He'll be a persona non grata in England, in the UK. And if Bernie Sanders is the new president-elect, I have my doubts about that, but if he does become the president-elect, everyone will be flocking to kiss his ass, because it's where power resides. It's not about the person themselves. Not so much, people admired Obama, people liked Obama, but at the end of the day, they like the role that he held. They want to gain favor with him, and that's what they'll do. If Bernie Sanders is the new president-elect, they'll be kissing his ass, and Boris Johnson will be doing exactly the same, because Boris Johnson knows where his butter is. His bread is buttered. Sir Antonius Block, thank you very much for asking people to click the like button. Yes, please do. We're up to 113. Fantastic. US trade deal, chlorinated chicken. I remember there was a Tory MP saying, chlorinated chicken isn't so bad. What's wrong with it? Of course, he's not going to eat it. He'll be eating... If he's eating chicken, it'll be, organically grown chicken from Chelsea Gardens or something like that. I watched the video by Phil. So far, I haven't seen any evidence that we'd leave in June, but I really don't know. I think there'd be a lot of... Scraggy Bear, I think there'd be a lot of saber rattling and political back and forth, but at the end they'll probably say, look, we'll push it out until the end of the year, and then at the last minute Boris Johnson will fly over and say, yes, I'm going to get a deal, to hell with all these people who are attempting to negotiate, I'll deal with it, to present himself as some sort of leader. He'll probably go over and get some sort of bare bones deal and bring it back as a victory. I was meaning if PM Bojo can make something to end the transition period, if in June won't agree any deal. A different bias said PM Bojo might think on that. Is that possible? I'm not sure what you mean. He might have a deal. There are different possibilities. He could work out a deal, which is very almost impossible. Have a deal, between now and June. Ask for an extension after the end of the year, which I don't think is going to happen. Saber rattling is gobshittery. But I don't know. In June they could, if they don't have a deal progressing, Boris Johnson could pull the plug and say, okay, we're leaving now without a deal. This would be a disaster. Phil had actually said that it would be worse if it was in January, which is right. If it happened during the summer, it wouldn't be as bad. In January would be the worst time, and then if he could say no, we'll wait until the end of the year, and then leave. But I still think I wouldn't bet on it, but I have a feeling he'll attempt to get some type of bare bones deal at the end of this year, so he can come back with something. As they say in Game of Thrones, power resides where people think it resides. Exactly. I think the June deadline is Boris's way of trying to show the voters, the Leave voters, we hold all the cards. Yeah, I agree, CPC. It'll be, look, we're the ones in charge. The EU wanted to sign something. We said no. We're the ones dictating the terms. He means, can Boris just walk away at the end of June and opt for WTO rules? I don't think he can walk away at the end of June. I'm not sure, but I don't think he can, because of the the transition period, because they said, think about it the last time. There was the extension. There was also, the UK could have left any time after 2016. There was nothing in European law, nothing really in European law to stop the UK from leaving. They wanted to leave with a deal. They wanted to leave on good terms. That's why the UK has never left before the beginning of this year. There was, as I said before, there's nothing to stop the UK before that from just leaving. Some hardline Brexiteers were saying we should just leave today. And they could have, but they didn't, because they knew it would be a disaster. So I don't think Boris Johnson wants a disaster. He wants to protect himself. And if the UK leaves abruptly and there's a disaster, he will get the blame for it. It'd be very difficult to blame the European Union. The European Union are saying at the moment, Boris Johnson has set this deadline. We haven't set it. Michel Barnier has said this. We haven't set this deadline. Boris Johnson has set it. Boris Johnson wants X, Y, or Z. We haven't decided these things. The best line Corbyn came out with was called Boris Johnson part-time. Yeah, where has he been? Boris Johnson has been AWOL, and it's completely disgraceful that he hasn't gone to meet the victims of the flooding. One of the responses from the Tories was that people are not interested in, politicians coming out and shaking hands. They want them to do something. Yes, but I agree with that to a certain extent, but they haven't done anything. And secondly, if the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, hi NK, welcome to the stream. Boris Johnson pretends to emulate Winston Churchill. And was Winston Churchill stuck in his bunker saying, I'm not going to go out and meet the victims of the Blitz? No, he went out there. That was a defining aspect of him. Meeting with the ordinary people, helping to shovel some of the rubble. Boris Johnson is instead hiding, I don't know where, and he won't meet the members of the members of the public who've been victims of this flooding, because he has contempt for them. He has no interest in actually meeting with them. Somewhat different to his idol. Could you please summarize the things related to Brexit that happened this week? Thanks. So Boris Johnson has been talking about having 50,000 new, well, not Boris Johnson himself, but his Michael Gove, his minister. So he's going to hire 50,000 customs officers between now and the end of the transition period, or within the next month. He hasn't been very clear about when they're going to be hired. 50,000, you heard that correctly. That's going to cost about £1.5 billion. And they're all going to be trained up in a number of months. That's one aspect. There's also the back and forth between whether Boris Johnson is going to respect the aspects of the withdrawal agreement or not. The internationally signed deal that's part of British legislation. He's talked about tearing that up. And what else? There's so many things. An unexpected fridge somewhere is where he has been. Safe from floods, safe from the virus. It's a good idea, yes. A fridge is airtight. As long as you have some sort of filtered air supply coming in, you should be safe in a fridge. And also some Tory MPs saying how chlorinated chicken is actually quite good for you. 50,000 customs officers, no doubt on 0-hour contracts. Yes. To find cocaine for Gove. Hello, Ross. Sorry. Welcome to the stream. How's everything in Canada? The same nation still. Your crazy neighbours across the border. Have there been any cases of coronavirus in Canada, actually? Let's see Boris meet the farmers after the announcement that there'll be, a loss of subsidies. I wish the farmers in the UK were as boisterous as the farmers in France, charging the capital in their tractors. It's a pity the English farmers and Scottish and Welsh, of course, farmers aren't similar. Put a bit of fear into Boris Johnson and his lies. As long as he can get away with the lies and he doesn't get any, punishment for it, he'll continue to do it. Chinese visitors. Oh, okay. Glad you're not paying for ex-royal security. What did you guys think of, I know we're going off topic somewhat, Prince Harry? So he was introduced at an event. I think it was in Scotland, actually. It was for promotion of Scottish tourism. And he said he wants to be called Harry, not His Royal Highness or the Duke of Sussex. I thought that was quite interesting. Meg and Harry escaped to Canada, and their security probably cost pennies per year, but Canada government had to make a point and keep the trend of Meghan hating. They could have adopted them as a unofficial couple and then justified, I think, the security costs. Or I think also in a way they could afford their own security, probably. I applaud Michelle Barnier attempting to outline that the deadlines are being imposed by the UK, but I fear that those who should hear his words are not listening, of course. There's no one more deaf than he who doesn't want to hear, or more blind than he who doesn't want to see. Harry, who cares? Royals are useless. Off with their heads. Hello, Night Raven. So many people have joined the chat. I apologize if I haven't said hello to you when you first enter. Farmers taking their tractors to Parliament. Let him just live his life. He wants to raise his child and have a normal family. Better than be the next Andrew and offspring, yes. I like Harry more after he tried to break free from the chains of the inbred lizard family. Yeah, he seems to be someone who just wants to be a normal guy. Like, okay, he's not a normal guy, but he's attempting to live a normal life. And I've been talking to my wife about this, and she feels a little bit sad that he's doing this. But I think the way he's dealing with this is he's looked back at his mother and how his mother was basically killed by, not by the Queen, but by the paparazzi and by the media, how they had driven her crazy and pushed her to an extreme where the driver of the car in Paris that night was drunk and speeding, trying to get away from the media. And I think he saw that and it had a deep impact on him, of course. And he said he probably thought, look, I don't want this happening to my wife, and I'd prefer, if I had to make a choice between the abuse and hounding that my wife gets and the royal that situation and having a more quiet life, then I have to choose the quiet life, and I can't hold anything against him for that. I don't like the way that Nigel Farage and people like that are holding that against him, like, oh, he's abandoned the family, he's a disgrace and stuff like this. Fuck off, Nigel. You're not in that situation, and also Nigel Farage wants to feel still relevant, So he's attacking whoever he can. I burn pictures of politicians in our, our stove. I swear, when I burnt Preti Patel, she wouldn't burn. Black smoke came out of her face. I hope you're joking, Scraggy Bear. No, I understand. Preti Patel, probably one of the worst people in Parliament, I think. I have more respect for Jacob Rees-Mogg than I do for Preti Patel, and I have almost no respect for Jacob Rees-Mogg. Who was Harry's real? Wasn't it one of the guards? He looks nothing like Charles or any of the other royals. There's no comparison. Him and his brother. You wouldn't even think they were from the same family. So yeah, I don't think Charles is his dad. I know there's the conspiracy surrounding, but look at him. Immigrants in power, yes. But it's like Brexit in its cakeism, still having the titles. But Hewitt, that was the guy's name. James Hewitt. What is James Hewitt doing now? I would have respect for the Queen. She devoted her life to her country, but the rest of the family are a great argument for a republic. Yes, Brian, I agree. Harry's dad was with something. What's his name? Hewitt, wasn't he? Yes. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. The moderators are on fire tonight. You great guys. I outsource all my work to you. I'm like the lazy boss. The Sussexes are son and daughter-in-law to the future king. They need security. Anyone whining about security costs needs to stop. This is a certain ex-HRH wife living with ex-husband taxpayer security. Mrs. VSN. Yeah, I think there are certain conditions. Yeah, if something were to happen to any of them, the questions would come out. Why weren't they not protected? Why were they not protected? How could this have happened? So yeah, it's a cost that has to go with having a royal family. If you don't want to pay for these things, probably it's best to get rid of the royal family. What serious impact do you think Brexit will have on the UK economy? Ian Ford? It's difficult to say because, but I think it's not going to be something you're going to wake up on one day and you're going to see, oh, okay, it's a complete and utter disaster. We're starting to see a gradual, effect. For example, Nissan, Honda, these companies, large companies who are have moved or consider moving or downsizing. Companies like Tesla, which is a huge loss for the UK. Tesla, one of the biggest companies in the world at the moment, at the forefront of electric cars. We're planning to build a huge factory in the UK, and they changed because of Brexit. They decided to build it in Germany, and that creates not just the fact that it's creating cars, but the amount of money that's invested and in the surrounding industries, providing supplies and components for that, and and the jobs that it would create, very highly paid jobs. That's all gone. The loss to the treasury of investments in the city of London that have been transferred to cities like Paris, Dublin, Amsterdam. These are gradual things that are affecting the UK economy. So it's not going to be something you're going to see immediately, or one day everything is fine and the next day it's not. But it's just going to get worse gradually. Disgusting Diana met Hewitt 2 years after Harry was born. The Spencers all have red hair. Grow up, folks. Look at younger pictures of Duke of Edinburgh and you'll see Harry. Okay. I think we're just having a bit of a joke here, guy. Just donated. Thank you very much, CPC Dawn. Sorry, can't say I wanted to show my support. The channel has helped me so much. Keep up the good. Thank you very much. You're very kind. If you have any question, please put it below, and I'll answer it as a priority. Tourism will usually bring in lots of people. And the previous man in charge of Brexit for UK government projected 4.9% negative. Yeah, the governor of the Bank of England had attempted to put in mechanisms to protect the UK economy from Brexit. So some of the impact will be negated by the actions that he took. How do you know that it's top secret? Does affect the economy of the worker and the middle class, but the rich will be able to keep their money in tax havens. Yes, we saw how the EU has been clamping down on tax havens, just like the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, I think it was, which were added to a list of, areas which are blacklisted. The planes will not be able to fly to any EU countries. I don't know about that. I don't want to say it's not going to happen. I don't want to say it will happen, but I think there will be some attempt on both sides to get planes flying, but it will be disruption. So I'm not going to say that there'll be no planes flying between the UK and the EU, on the 1st of January next year, but there will be disruption, of course, and disruption means costs. Do you think Ireland will have problems with imports post-Brexit? Has anything been done to resolve has been solved with the change in Northern Ireland's status under withdrawal plan? At the moment, nothing has taken place on either side of the border, because Boris Johnson has been saying that there will be no border. So it's difficult to build infrastructure if the Prime Minister is saying nothing's going to happen. Will imports be? Well, there will be. See, it depends on. There'll be checks taking place between. I think it's Stranraer in Antrim and I don't remember the town in Scotland. I don't remember that. I don't know now, but between Scotland and Northern Ireland there will be checks taking place, so that's going to create problems for goods and services, goods mainly being imported and exported, because you'll need new paperwork, new customs officers, of course. Are there any agreements for use with Google, etc. once Brexit happens? Would be interesting if UK is cut off. There are privacy issues, so the UK may not be included in EU privacy security. Which would mean that UK data could be sold off to the Americans, while in the EU it's more protected. QA Library, welcome to the stream. Phone was in another room. Hope you're safe and well. Yes, I'm surviving. I told the guys to put a mask on your speakers. I don't want to transmit the coronavirus to anyone. Google has already gave new user agreements. All our data is bought and sold in US instead of protected in the EU. Brexit is a massive I don't know. Yes, there's a lot that we don't know that's going to happen. Max, what Remainer lies do you not believe? No sandwiches or World War III. Sandwiches? I'm not familiar with sandwiches, but I don't know if see. I wouldn't class what some Remainers were saying as lies, because a lie is something that you know is false. So many people said, well, planes will probably be grounded, but that was based on, well, the UK and the EU will separate, and there will be, it was a reasonable position to take. If I said, in order to fly, you need to have agreed, how can I say, paperwork. But if the UK crash out, then there will be no agreed paperwork. So a logical conclusion would be, well, then the planes can't fly. So this wasn't really a lie. This was based on a reasonable expectation of the evidence that was at the time. Now, I don't know. Maybe planes will not be able to fly between the UK and EU from the 1st of January. But I wouldn't put money on either side of that. But it's not a lie to say that yes, they won't fly. It's based on we don't know. But there were things that the UK, the Brexiteers had said it is true, when it turned out not to be true, and they knew it was false. But even Boris Johnson was lying right up until the days before the UK left. I heard Google had transferred its UK servers to US. I think coronavirus is a hoax for martial law, obviously. Sandwiches refer to lettuce and tomato not getting through to the UK. I wasn't familiar with that. If you have any coronavirus, go hug Boris Johnson. With all the data breaches and personal critical data that's been taken by hackers, welcome to the US model. Farage is another gaslighter. Yes. Has been moved to the EU. Airlines have moved all company accounts to the EU. How is that another advantage of Brexit? Yes, our companies in the UK are moving their data back to the EU. How is that an advantage of Brexit? Brexiteers continue to say things are going to get better, but what way? Everything we're reading every day almost, there's new information coming out that things are getting worse. Spreading your opinions like they are objective facts is just pure hubris. You need humility, but your vanity for attention probably trumps that. Who are you talking to, Frank? Is it to me? Where's the 350 million for the NHS? So Frank is directing that towards me. So my opinions are pure hubris. But my point has always been, Frank, you can answer this yourself if you want. How has your life improved because of Brexit? You voted for Brexit, I assume. So how did your life improve? You're talking to me? I don't see anyone else here. All hail Boris. What the hell was wrong with these? Did they not see the suffering that the Tory government has caused? 10 years of of austerity, and it's going to be another 10 years of austerity probably. Of course, austerity for the poor, socialism for the rich. They still be able to fly in the EU and worldwide, remember, a no deal will need a new deal agreement with all 201 countries. Do you know about any super delegates that can turn the vote and stop Bernie winning? Yes, a complete anti-democratic mechanism to have these super delegates. They shouldn't exist. And now it was very disgusting what Elizabeth Warren said about, well, Bernie supported this back in 2016. Yes, he supported it because he had no alternative. He wanted to get rid of the super delegates, and they said, okay, the compromise is we get rid of them on the first ballot. We keep them on the second ballot. He didn't want that, but he said, okay, well, you're the party, I have to go with that. And now Elizabeth Warren is saying, oh, well, Bernie supported having super delegates, so we're going to keep super delegates. Like, super delegates, someone who is able to overturn the will of the voters. The voters wanted to have a candidate, and the super delegates come in and say, no, we have to follow the way the party wants. Then what's the point in having primaries? Just have the governing members of the party decide. David Sherlock, good night. You have to leave. Okay. Good evening, by the way. Sorry, Max. Good evening. I sorry if you're leaving or coming. I don't know if you're coming or going, but have a good evening if you're on the way out, and welcome if you're on the way in. Jason Hunter, who asked during the trade deals around the world, he would reschedule James O'Brien. He did videos with Graham Hughes. Does the video helping people understand the EU? That's good. Frank needs help. If Bernie wins the first round, it's done. I think if he does, if he wins in South Carolina, it's certainly over. But if Bernie wins, on Super Tuesday, it's done. But I think the media is going to try and stop him. They don't want him to become the president. So they're attempting to stop him from becoming the nominee, and then they will work to stop him from becoming the president. Because there are a huge number of grifters in the party, people who have a comfortable position, people who make money from being in opposition. Donald Trump is a good way for certain people to make money, to raise funds. It would benefit them for Donald Trump to remain in office. MSNBC coverage of Bernie Sanders is appalling. It's disgusting. They lie about him, and then they roll back and say, oh, yeah, sorry, we didn't mean it that way. They ask him all the difficult questions. They don't ask anyone else any difficult questions. And they're constantly, talking about him and not about his policies. So first, at the beginning, they ignored him, and then they went on to, say, oh well, he's too old, or he has health problems, or, and then wasn't it them, or I don't know if it was MSNBC or CNN, who put a red filter. They had interviewed him, and then they modified the video to make him look weird. Like, hopefully these will eventually be replaced by the internet, by YouTube channels, whatever. Bernie's getting people out who never voted, and I think it'd be very sad if he doesn't win, because he's receiving a lot of support by ordinary people. I remember seeing the MSN change policy towards Bernie, hired more pro-Bernie presenters, and even some anti-Bernie presenters made apologies. Don't know if that's enough though. if he wins the nominee, then maybe they'll change tact somewhat. But I still have a feeling that a lot of people don't want him to win because he would sweep away a lot of these grifters. It ain't over until the superdelegates say it's over. The DNC doesn't support Bernie. Maybe they will change after. Maybe some people will realize, look, we have to support him. I watched the debate. They were all attacking Bernie. Ironically, the more they attack him, the more support he seems to get. So maybe attacking him is a good idea. Farage countered this by saying that he had cleared Trump of interfering with the process and outcome of the election. It only did not clear him of perverting the course of justice. Yes. Bernie is an independent who runs as a Democrat. Unfortunately, he will be ousted by the party if he looks like he's going to win. I don't think they'll do that. They can. I don't think they'll kick him out on a technicality. I wouldn't put it. Well, maybe they will. They're horrible people in the DNC, but I think it would create a lot of problems for them if they did. Bernie will win a majority. I have a fear that the incumbency advantage will go with Trump. Trump doesn't really need to do much. He just needs to hold his own in order to win. So it's a bit of an uphill for Bernie if he wins the nomination. TYT can feel like an echo chamber. I've switched off from TYT a long time ago. Fox News loves Sanders more than Trump. Wow. Remember Bernie, the front runner, hence the attacks in the debate. Yeah, so they do attack the front runner. So if you become the front runner, you have to expect a lot of the attacks from the other members. Bernie has shifted the Overton window, moved it more to the center in a European sense. Yes. It's a double bluff. Media opposition to Trump elected him. Therefore, Chris Matthews et al. Secretly love Bernie. No. I think they're just dumb. I think people like Chris Matthews is actually dumb, and he actually thinks because people like that they feel that their value to the discussion is more than it actually is. People like Chris Matthews think people really care what I have to say, and in reality they don't, or they used to, but now they don't. But I don't think Chris Matthews understands that. New Irish election, Sinn Féin shows left-wing thinking works, helps Bernie's credibility. I don't know if there's much of a connection between how things work in Ireland and the US, but maybe you're right. Yes, I wouldn't rule it out completely, but centrist means nothing happens. Of course, centrist in the UK or in the US or in Europe is somewhat different. You don't understand how much people want National Health Service until you don't have one. Earl, yes. I was reading how there was a guy who got sick recently in the US, and he had to pay $5,000 or $6,000 just to get some sort of treatment. And also, people, in the US at the moment, if they're afraid that they may be infected with the coronavirus, what do? If you go to hospital, is coronavirus covered under your insurance? I don't think so. So, who do you call? Do you call the hospital? Do you call the insurance company? Do you just ignore it? What do you do? Scott Adams said he will leave the country if Bernie wins. I think a lot of rich people will do the same. Yes, but how many people said they would leave the country if Donald Trump, even, I like Stephen King, but I think Stephen King had said, if Donald Trump wins, I'll leave the country, and he's still there. So people say a lot, but then they don't do. Although some billionaires, I think they're more likely to move some of their money abroad than to actually leave the country, because it's the government are more interested in your money than you as a person. I don't begrudge the opposition candidates attacking Sanders. That's to be expected. He's their direct rival. Yes, there is a bit on the left, YouTube channels like Kyle Kalinske or whatever. As soon as someone attacks Bernie, it's like, oh, they're attacking Bernie. They need to leave him alone. And, if he's the front runner, he needs to be challenged. It can't always be, he's not always the victim. Coronavirus is used by US to mask their stock market crash. I'm not saying this is not real, but they just need a scapegoat for the... And who did they put in charge of dealing with the coronavirus? Mike Pence. Val Minton, Sanders leading in South Carolina, 25%. Really? I thought Biden was leading in South Carolina. I'm not sure where you got that figure from. I don't expect Sanders to win in South Carolina. It's not pivotal to his victory. If he did win there, then it would be over. But he's more likely to pick up lots of seats on Super Tuesday. Sorry. Kalinske made the stupid paramilitaries tweet. That was annoying. Yes, I responded to him on Twitter. Obviously, I don't know whether he reads whatever I write to him. But, what were you thinking? Yeah, Bernie needs to have a private army. People are calling him a communist. People have been comparing him to Fidel Castro, and then you say, yeah, he should have a private army around him. Please, you're not making the situation better. I think the US has bigger problems than election. Just on news, he is behind Biden. Bernie's looking good in South Carolina. Kyle is often annoying, yes. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. There's a secret reason why Glasgow Kiss is promoting my channel. Glasgow Kiss wants a certain calendar, but I have to I have to keep it on the long finger, okay? It will eventually be done, I promise. There was actually an event here in Italy so I don't know if you guys know, but I'm part of a group that do medieval reenactment. And there is an event every April, March or April, where in this event you can go and you can buy swords or spears or bows and arrows and things like that, medieval stuff, armor, things like that. And they also have from different eras, material from different eras. And so I want to go this year and see if I can find something from the 1700s. So that would be perfect for the calendar. He's disavowed those former gun views he held and apologized for them, I read. He's the only one waiting for the calendar. I think there should be an age gap for the US presidency. Age cap, sorry. It's not normal seeing senils yelling at each other. It is a BCA. It is a bit like, watching some people in a nursing home. But I wouldn't swap that for Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete is not uh, a good response. It's massive in Italia. Sorry, I missed. What's the feeling in Italy about the cancelled rugby match against Ireland? Yes, there's a lot of sad people about that. It's, I think, cancelling football matches and stuff. It makes sense about regards to the virus, but I think we are overblowing things a bit here. A lot of things have been cancelled. Also here in Venice, near where I live, near Venice. In Venice, they cancelled the last 2 days of Carnival, which is a huge, huge event. I don't even go there anymore because it's so packed. I went there, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, and Venice is a small city, and there are, if you don't know, obviously there are no cars, and the streets, they're pedestrianized, of course. And if you go on YouTube and search Venice at Carnival, you will see packed streets. It's impossible to move. It's insane. So I went there a couple of years ago and I said, no more. I'm not coming back here again. If you suffer from claustrophobia, you lose your mind. Omongang. I'm not familiar with Omongang. Join us for the Omongang. Never do a counting exercise at 1:30. Mayor Pete has no reflection in the mirror. What were they calling him? A snake? No, a snake? No, a rat. A rat. I tried to buy Max a Peroni. He loved the stuff, but I can't figure out the system. I completed the form, but donate button was dimmed. Where am I going wrong? Oh no. Try the super chat instead. I don't know if it's working or not. There's also the let me see if it's working, the other one. Headbutt to the face. His mother didn't know Hewitt until after. Okay. His mother didn't know Hewitt until after Harry was born. He gets his red hair from his mother's family. All his mother's siblings had looked like young Phil. I'm glad Peter Buttigieg is there, though, because he eats into Biden's vote. Yeah, I think the situation would have been so much. The super chat isn't working. Ah, crap. Nightmax, try to be a bit kind to us Brexiteers in the next video. I will, I promise. Dian, okay. We can disagree on Brexit, but I hope we can be friends. I don't understand why the super chat is not working. Does the super chat work now, guys? Does the thing change? Anyway, we have a medieval festival here in southern Romania. Then guys from Serbia went full insane. Fought with real shows for real and ended up in hospital. My God, I know the Romanian guys can be quite tough for sure, and then the Serbian guy. I used to do it with the Serbian guy who was hilarious. And still no sound yet. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll have it for the next stream. I don't want to end the stream, but I promise we'll have it working for the next stream. No, still doesn't give the option. It works after refreshing, so if you don't mind refreshing, it should work. Thanks for that comment, Cotton Cat. I used to do medieval reenactment with a guy from Serbia. Fantastic. And so the Irish are famous for drinking, but the Serbs would drink the Irish under a table, honestly. He had been drinking all night, whiskey, vodka, all sorts of things, and then he got up the next morning, he puked, and then he went into a battle. I was like, wow. Not to be recommend. I wouldn't recommend doing it, but that's what he did. Thank you, Killer, for that comment as well. The Irish presence in US is huge, from Kennedy's to Scorsese's latest. A successful left-wing first world government is a credible model. If it happens to be Ireland and not Sweden, it still works. It's possible, yeah. It would be interesting to see a Bernie Sanders government. Was that my fault? I don't understand Wee Scott's dog. I think a Bernie Sanders government would be very interesting for the international stage. You know, I think he would go about attempting to undo the damage that Donald Trump has done, and if he was able to create something, you're getting the blame. Not all countries allow super chats. YouTube hates me. Okay. Bernie is too sane to be president. But I don't like to say this, but Bernie is old, okay. But I think he's not interested so much in being president, but he's interested in creating a change to the system. He wants to reform the system. He wants to create a new platform in a way for future presidents, you know, a progressive platform. And that's why you see people like AOC, you know, becoming quite prominent, connecting with him, lining up her ideology beside him. Thank you very much, NK. Very kind. Hope your job isn't impacted too much by... it has been, yes. Yes, it's working after the refresh. That was YouTube's fault. It has been affected somewhat, yes, because I do business English courses here in Italy, and I had a 3-day one lined up for next week, and unfortunately it was cancelled at the last minute because there were people coming from all over Italy to it. And the company I work for, they said, look, no, it's cancelled. So I was like, oh crap. So I'm hoping that it will be postponed, but at the moment it's cancelled. And then I also have a course that I have every week on a Monday, and they sent me an email the other day, and they said, no, next Monday, no. And I said, what about the following Monday? And they said, we'll let you know. So this is one of the impact, and I was speaking to some people in this company, and they said What's happening is a lot of the companies are bulk buying at the moment because they're afraid that later on they won't be able to get parts. They're afraid that, trucks may be stopped, or drivers may, refuse to drive to certain areas. Between here and Milan, some trains have to pass through a particular area that was affected. No, maybe I think it's between here and Rome, sorry. Do you still get paid if it's cancelled? I don't know. They said, look, if we can... So I work for a company that organizes these courses. So they said if they can, they'll reorganize for later in the year. But they haven't said whether they will or not. But c'est la vie. That's the way things work. 0-hour contract, yes. Max is on a 0-hour contract. But I am fortunate. My wife has a full-time job, so I'm okay on that front. But it is a bit of a pain that these things get cancelled, and there's a risk that you don't get one later on. Caught that one too. Sanders is a movement. Well, he's the vanguard of a movement, yes. So, in a way, he didn't want to become president. He didn't want to run as president. He was like, I don't want to do this, but I have to, because I'm tired of the situation. I want the American people to have a healthcare system that if it's implemented, would actually be better than many of the ones we have here in Europe. Thank you, NK. No, don't worry. It's I should be fine. But if you want to do a super chat, it should be for the stream. So maybe COVID will go the way of Ebola. Ebola sort of. I don't know if you remember, with Ebola there was a huge amount of fear around it, and then it sort of disappeared eventually. And I have a feeling probably coronavirus will be somewhat similar, that we'll have a huge amount of fear and checks and controls regarding it, the same way as SARS. SARS was quite similar. Time for a coffee. What do you think of the chances to see a motion of no confidence or general election this year if Boris Johnson doesn't get a deal? Very little chance of a vote of no confidence, because if he doesn't get it, I don't see it happening really, because he has such a majority. He could still take a hit and he'd still be in his position. Last year Sanders is what the people wanted, but Hillary got in the way, and so they went for Trump. A lot of people, Earl, a lot of people had said they wanted to vote for Bernie, but he wasn't on the ticket. So, and Trump himself said in an interview, in a secretly recorded interview, Snapchat should be for the calendar. He said Trump had said if Bernie had been the VP, he would have been very worried and he could have lost. So Trump said that himself. Polls show Bernie leading. Really enjoyed the chat. Have to go. Thanks for being on the chat, Brian. Have a nice evening. Hopefully see you next time. Have a good one. Sanders wanted Warren to run in 20. Yeah, he wanted her to run, and then she wouldn't do it. So he said, okay, well, I better do it then. He's a machine. I don't know how he does it. He's in his late 70s, and he's, running from one city to the next all over the US. I wouldn't be able to do that. And I'm a lot younger. Not going to tell you how much younger, but I am. Well, no, some of you already know how old I am. Trump on the coronavirus, it's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. It's like Donald Trump doesn't have any coherent phrases. He just... It's a word salad when he's speaking. It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. What the hell is that? It's not it's first of all, it's going to disappear one day. He should have stopped there. Yes, it's going to disappear one day, but it's like a miracle. Coronavirus is just a bad flu, but great for big pharma. Yes and no. I think it does have, it does have a bigger kill rate than ordinary flu. I think ordinary flu has something like 0.01% kill rate, while Donald Trump's IQ in negative numbers. While the flu has something, the coronavirus is 1%. So it is, while 1% is very small, it still has a big impact. But of course, there is a chance for some pharmaceutical companies to make some money out of this. Everyone is desperate for a vaccine. So if they say, look, we can, give us money and we'll develop a vaccine, 10% more fatal. Yeah. Trump press conference the other day will go down in history. Covfefe was the most sensible thing he said so far. Can Donald Trump survive another few months on the road trying to run a campaign? He's not making a lot of sense at the moment when he's not campaigning. Can you imagine the stress of campaigning? And then what was it when he was in India? He wanted to eat hamburgers all the time. In India, the cow is sacred. And he said, yeah, but I want to eat my hamburgers, or I want to eat steak. He has no sense of, adjusting in any way to the guest, to the host. If you go to someone's home, you adjust to what they offer you. He can't do that. You can't show the host any respect at all. Average Ebola kill rate 50%. Wow, I didn't know that. When do you think his speaking can get worse? It does. %20 of people may need critical care. Wow. We still get SARS infections from the scare years ago, but it's evolved to kill fewer people. Okay. Trump is shadowing Bernie and other primaries, the other primaries around the country, like he shadowed Hillary, saying Democrats responsible for the virus. The virus will disappear. We're doing great, taking care of it. He's mental. I think the virus could really show how Medicare for all is important for the US going forward. It's a critical system that needs to be put in place. The idea that people are poor and they can't afford to go to the doctor, and they say, look, I'll decide not to go to the doctor because I can't afford it. If people don't go to the doctor because they don't want to is one thing, but if you can't afford to go, my God. With an unlimited supply of tin foil and Coke, Trump will be fine. Coke, Coca-Cola, or something else? He's always sniffing. You see some of the press conferences. He does a lot of sniffing. But I think he's probably on some type of weird medication as well. Will gentleman's agreement need to be enshrined in law after Trump and Boris Johnson? That would be a good idea. hoping Bernie will get elected due to coronavirus clusterfuck. I think it's still a bit early for Bernie to benefit from the corona bounce. Something else. Yes. Adderall. Can you imagine what's going to come out after Donald Trump leaves office? You know, what the situation really was like. You know, the way we hear about Richard Nixon or whatever, the situation, how he ran the White House. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when we find out what really happened with Trump? We know some of the things, but can you imagine what the real situation is? Flu has 2 to 3% death rate, while the new virus has 1 to 2%. And this is from, not sure about 10% more fatal from. Trump asked General Kelly what Pearl Harbor was all about while visiting. He has no interest in anything yet along cultural norms. He had not slept for a day and a half. The man never sleeps. Mike Mulvaney, White House Chief of Staff, claiming Trump didn't sleep at all on his return trip from India. It's another Elvis case, you know, take pills to sleep and then take pills to wake up again. Untreated syphilis. Parchi P. Paul, hi. How are you doing? Hope you're well. Does the Oval Office still being recorded? The coronavirus is not a threat. We all know we will die a zombie virus or lack of calendar. You guys are very sneaky. Sneak that in everywhere. There will be more books than ever once Trump is out. I might write one on my own. At the sane person's view. That would be interesting, Errol. It's the same thing before 1979 in the UK when Margaret Thatcher came in, as the song goes, the mighty and the good gave way to the rich and me. Guys, you need to stop talking about the calendar, but you're building it up, and I don't want it to be a disappointment. So we have to lower expectations. Did you give a bum steer? Did you give me a bum steer? I was hoping to see my glorious comment appearing after I made the meager contribution, but instead nothing. I wasn't trying to be altruistic, for God's sake. No, please. No, that wasn't directed at me. Sorry. I heard this one too, plus the coke habit. Well, just bloody do it. No calendar, no comment. The coronavirus is not a threat. We all know. Oh yes, I read that. Sorry. Is going to be a naked one? No. Because I need people to come back on the channel. There will, of course, be a revisionist history that might be as bad as Thatcher's. No. Anne Whitcomb and Max together virtual. Was it a... Yes, Anne Whitcomb in the Marilyn Monroe dress blow scene. That would be interesting to see, wouldn't it? That'd put you off your lunch for the rest of your life. Will any of the Trump offspring take a run at politics after he leaves? Yeah, I think there is this talk about his daughter and Don Jr. running for president in the future, but they haven't a hope because they're not Donald Trump. People voted for Trump because it's Trump, because it's Donald, the Donald. So I don't see that happening. The original World War One, original W1 World War One, I assume. No, Naked One made a million. They built a ward for treatment. As long as you have Harry surfing a Canadian flag on the back of bus. Thanks, Mike. Now I can unsee. I can't unsee Whittaker in Monroe dress. What was I saying? Yes. So I don't see Don Jr. or Ivanka running as, maybe Ivanka, but Don Jr. I don't see him doing it. He's a narcissist, yes, but they don't have the same quote unquote charisma that Donald Trump has. And Trump went in. I think Donald Trump is a bit of a fluke. He ran on the idea, I'm going to change things. Women's Institute, sorry. The Canada is pure gold. Bikini mankini shoe. You guys are hilarious. So I think Ivanka could run, but her hopes would be pretty weak because Donald Trump ran on the idea of, I'm going to break up the system. I'm the new kid in the block. I'm going to break everything and start afresh. I'm going to drain the swamp. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have his. Also, you have to give it to him that he's good at doing rallies. He's good at shouting for like 2 or 3 hours, because he likes it. But the others are not up to do that. Barbie, no way. I didn't understand that. UK media loves to shout about right-wing populists winning elections in Australia, in Austria, whatever. Yet they don't even mention Portugal has socialists in power. That annoys me. It's like they'll promote some French Eurosceptic. Oh, look, this guy is running against or standing up to Macron or whatever. And then you do a bit of research on the guy, and he hasn't a seat in Parliament, or he has no power. Yeah, they'll run on that. Look at Austria, look at France, but of course ignore Portugal or Spain at the moment. Ivanka has to get both of her neurons firing at the same time to run, but now she has found that difficult. What about We Got a Problem and Anne together for November? Oh, embracing, of course. Yeah, isn't that We've Got a Problem guy a fake working class YouTuber? Because somebody was saying that they were listening to what he was saying, and sometimes he would drop the commoner accent for a bit and come out and let slip that he's probably someone who went to Eton or some public school, sorry, not private school. I don't think Trump expected to or wanted to win. He was probably like, what the hell, I won? Now what do I do? Trump is everywhere. I open a random stream and it's bloody Trump. I'm sorry, rum. Welcome to the stream. We won't focus too much on Trump tonight. Or anti-Trump, actually. You can fool the people once, but not twice. Sorry, just spouting rubbish. I must be tired. You can fool some of the people twice, and some of the people always. Trump is a reality star. What do you expect? I call Ivanka Barbie in the US. Yeah, she is like Barbie. And even the plastic Barbie probably has more brains than Ivanka has. What exactly has Trump done since becoming president? He promised to start building a wall the day he got elected. As far as I know, a single brick hasn't been laid. Well, part of the wall has been laid, but part of it fell down as well because of the wind. And part of it was crossed by Mexicans with a $10 ladder or $15 ladder. And then today, some Mexicans tunneled underneath the barrier. And also, well, the whole idea of having a wall was pointless because most people who are in the country illegally overstay their visa. So they enter and then they don't leave. So how would a wall block those people? And most people enter by, via the airport. Most anima of any man is age, best health for any president, past or future, highest IQ, most athletic, best build, very muscular. Sorry, who are you talking about, Scottish guy? Would Trump still build a mega platform like Trump TV? His take on Fox News? That could be something he wants to do when he leaves office. Trump TV, can you imagine? That we've got a problem guy looks like a nonce. I imagine he's like a gammon. Ivanka better start stealing her college transcripts now. Drop a thumbs up for Max. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sir Antonius Block. He's taunting everyone that the Democrats. He is saying that the Democrats are responsible for coronavirus because they have not built his wall. Just blame everyone. It's time for the Euro song for Ivanka. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Magic plastic is fantastic. Yes. And then she met the world leaders, and they were like, "Who the hell are you? Why are we talking to you?" Hopefully he'll be in jail. Fingers crossed. He's like Berlusconi here in Italy. Berlusconi had to stay in power because he was afraid. If I leave power, I risk going to jail. There is an actual Trump TV. Oh God. Its channel is on YouTube. Talking about Eurovision, do you watch it, Max? No, I do not. No, I can't. I don't. I don't understand those things. Okay, and then there's this. I think the last time I watched it was in the 90s, probably. It's. And the political, I don't know if it's still the case where, France doesn't give to Germany because France and Germany hate each other, and the UK and Ireland, I don't know if the UK goes first or Ireland goes first. So Ireland would vote for the UK and for Britain. I don't know if it's Britain or the UK, and they would give them 10 points because we're neighbours, and then you'd have to give us 10 points back. I don't know if is it still like that, but I found that really pathetic. I don't want to sound pretentious, but I thought I was like, why are you doing this? Just vote on whether the song is good or not, or if the band is good or not. All those right-wing YouTubers are trans class. Spoiled brats with privileged backgrounds, yet identifying as working class. Yeah, it's like Sargon of Akkad. He's like, yeah, I'm a working class guy. Sure you are. Just listen to the language he uses. But he sacked the health czar to help with pandemics. Trump is insane. I actually think Trump is ill. I think his handlers are just going through the motions now. I think we're the best thing that's come out of Trump is probably that he hasn't pressed a nuke button. I have been expecting him to press a nuke button over the last 4 years, and he hasn't pressed it. So we should be should be happy with that, maybe. My Lovely Horse. That was the best song for Eurovision. Millions have lost their sleep, yes. Ireland nearly won Eurovision with My Lovely Horse. Father Ted's Eurovision. So anyone in the US who's on the stream, you have to have a look on YouTube, My Lovely Horse. But unfortunately, watching Father Ted out of context, you lose a lot of the humor. You have to watch the entire series. I think it's available on Amazon, but I don't know. Some years ago it was available on Amazon, but you could watch. I think there were 3 seasons. Or maybe there were more than 3 seasons, but it was a fantastic show. So they replaced the nuke button with a jelly roll, and he ate it. Double guitars. Why the hell is Australia allowed in the Eurovision now? As Australia is in the Eurovision, that's not on. I still look up Father Ted on YouTube. It never gets old. Yes. the benefit of Brexit was our Brexiteer friends have left. They could have said, we decided to vote to leave because we don't want to be part of Eurovision anymore, and I would have said, I concede. You're right. I need to close down my channel because you have won. Channel 4 streaming, cool. I don't know if I can get Channel 4 streaming here. Sometimes it's really weird. Some of the streaming channels, the official ones, are blocked in different countries. Like Hulu, I think it's an American one. They have some cool shows, but you can't watch them here in Italy. It's blocked. So I probably need a VPN or something like that. QA Library would be able to hook me up with a VPN, I imagine. Did Father ever go to the USA? No, I think the very last episode was he was planning to go. It's hilarious because, spoilers, if you haven't seen Father Ted and you want to see it, but they had burnt all the furniture and burnt all of their belongings because they wanted to go to America with Father Ted, and then it turned out, no, he said, look, we won't go because I don't, was it he couldn't go, or he decided not to after they had burnt everything. The show is, I think 90% of the show is fantastic. There are some things that are a bit sort of exaggerated that I don't like, but all in all, it's a fantastic show to watch. Some parts have aged quite a bit, from the 90s, but best bits of Father Jack Hackett, Arse Biscuits, and that would be a ecumenical matter. I don't know if you believe this. I'm not saying this just to sound cool, but I had an old uncle. He's dead now, but I had an old uncle who used to so he had a bad back, and he used to sit in a chair that was like Father Jack's, and he used to look like Father Jack without all the, whatever that stuff was stuck to Father Jack's face, and he had the same type of personality, not a friendly person. He didn't swear like Father Jack, but he looked a bit like him, and he used to sit in a chair like that, and I used to be a bit afraid of him when I was a child. Will we ever win Eurovision again after Brexit? Who is we? Are you talking about the UK, or are you from Ireland, or where are you from? The money was resting in my account. Oh yes, Ted, it was having a long rest. And then was it the bishop had said, you had spent that money by, what was it? You went to Las Vegas instead of keeping that money for those children who had to go to Lourdes. Could you say that incredibly boring voice, please, Max? Which was was it the one who said, I like the sound of a man saying home? Or that's like the man a man's voice, pretending to be like a fridge. That I don't know which one you're on about, Wee Scott's dog. Then there was the most sarcastic priest in Ireland. Let me see. Ecumenical matter, yes. I love my brick. I don't know if guys, sorry, Father Ted is typical Irish. Kicking Brennan up the arse. I don't know, I'm in England. Don't we enter as GB? I assume they could make some exceptions for the Eurovision to let GB back in to, because Eurovision is, if they allow Australia in, they should allow the UK in. Should allow Great Britain in. Down with this sort of thing. The rule to enter the Eurovision, the country has to sign up and fund a European channel that shares content with other national broadcasters worldwide. Oh. Hairy Japanese bastards. QA Library, you know everything. I was just thinking, that Scottish guy, I was just thinking of that yesterday. I don't know why, I was just thinking of that. So you're saying, yes, these are small, those are far away. Small, far away. Oh, forget it. And who could have wrote that? It's one thing to see it on screen and laugh at it, but somebody wrote that, and you just have to think of the comic genius of thinking of it and writing it down and saying, this is going to be a funny joke. Your live streams are so civilized compared to the ones in the US. Are you being sarcastic, Brenda? I hate you, Tony. You're going on my list. He crawled in at 10:30. What was it? What was the name of the priest? The one. Damn, I forget his name. The comedian. But he said, of course, the runaway milk plate. You guys are crazy. Damn it, what was the comedian's name? He has his own show now. Escape from the Laundry. Pat Mustard. Oh my god. Do you watch Star Trek Picard? They have a Romulan Mrs. Doyle. Oh my god. The reason why the UK gets to the final year is because we pay the most into the service. 2 other countries are behind us, so they also have permanent status. Graham Norton. Thank you, Sarah Jessica Farter. He said to Ted, "You have such a beautiful voice, very much like Celine Dion." I'm surprised the Brexiteers didn't bring up the idea of getting out of the Eurovision as a way, as a reason. Sorry, I have to go. The wife, before the wife catches me, I was supposed to be doing something constructive. This is constructive. You're learning about Father Ted, and you're reminiscing on these things. So it's been a pleasure having you on the stream, Earl. Have a nice evening or morning, or wherever you are. Have a good one. Linefan is a genius. IT crowd too. I thought when Dermot Morgan died, it was an elaborate gag, and he would rise from the dead. Yes, I couldn't believe it. I remember I heard it on the radio. I think it was on the radio. I was having breakfast in a home. A long story, but I was having breakfast and I heard it on the radio. I was like, no, it's impossible. And then I had to walk to this place where I was going after, and I was just thinking about all the episodes in my head as I was going to that place, and I still couldn't believe it. And it's really sad because he was the evening before he wasn't feeling well, and they were talking about maybe he should go to see a doctor, and he was saying, oh no, I'll be okay, I just need to rest. And if he had gone and seen a doctor, or if he'd been taken to hospital when he wasn't feeling well, perhaps the situation could have been different, but unfortunately not. But he'll be always remembered as Father Ted. Eurovision, founded in 1954 in Geneva, Switzerland, is a television network that is part of the European Broadcasting Union. Eurovision was set up for the purpose of exchanging TV programs and subsequently TV news footage. So Eurovision, so it was nothing to do with music. It was about news and information. Out of Eurovision would be one good thing about Brexit. Linehan is deeply embroiled in the trans activist versus feminist Twitter war. Oh, I don't even want to go there. There's no good way of getting out of that. Father Dougal asked Father Ted if he believes in an afterlife. It's a response I sometimes use with people. He said, Dougal, how did you become a priest? Was it collect 10 crisp packets and become a priest or something like that? And sometimes I say to some people, I say, how did this person become a prime minister or something, or a politician? Is it collect 10 coupons and become a politician, or become whatever. Is Eurovision run by unelected bureaucrats? Of course. Oh, and we're almost on 3 hours of the live stream. So and it's 2:24 here in Italy, so I really need to be going. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll end the stream, but I leave the chat running. So I'll let you guys argue amongst yourselves on Scrap Saturday, yes. I'll allow you guys to argue amongst yourselves on Brexit, on Eurovision, on Father Ted, on whatever. So it's been a pleasure doing the live stream once again. I love these live streams. And it's been a pleasure talking to all of you. Unfortunately, some people have left, so I won't be able to say goodbye to those. But have a great evening, and I'll see you again in the next live stream. Thanks very much for all the donations and unfortunately and the super chat that came through. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone's well, and have a good night, and see you very soon. Thanks.